works because I don't have my internet here at my office. I have my phone internet and these little boxes that don't work half the time. So let me see if this is gonna work. I'm not fully unpacked either. I am not fully unpacked. I'm wondering if this is, I'm having a hard time with this. Okay. Okay. I'm just turning this volume down. Okay. I know I'm just popping on here, but I'm at my new place, still unpacking this center, and I'm in my office where I do all my paperwork stuff. I don't have the studio stuff done yet. Now this is probably going to be a subject that's hard to talk about because a lot of people don't like to talk about the subject because it's very touchy. But I've been wanting to talk about the subject for a while because it puts people in altered states. And it does affect you spiritually. And it's something that in the future, as things change, we don't really need it. We've been taught and told that we need alcohol, but we don't. Because that substance is about coveting, containing pain, making yourself feel good in those states so you don't have to deal with reality. And I just been wanting to talk about this. It's like my cheek and everything's all, oh my God. But I'm still trying to adjust the heat in this house and everything. I'm trying to get everything done. So, and I think pretty much everybody has dealt with an uncle, a mother, a father, a friend, a best friend in these conditions of being intoxicated. And the thing about it is it's actually pretty sad. It's really a sad situation because on the surface it seems funny and humorous and everything, but what's going on inside, what they're dealing with, is something more severe. And it's easier to make the pain, in a funny sense of humor and be a funny drunk. It's not, because there's always something very severe going on. Also, on the spiritual side of this, it's a weakness that is shown, that negative energy can jump onto that altered state. So it's not good. And it's a hard subject to talk about because there's a lot of people that have to deal with this. And you have to understand, public society has pushed this. It's everywhere. It pulls you in on purpose. This is another program that is there to entice you, to tease you, to put you in a state that they can control. And so no one's talking about this. And I actually, if you go back to some of my videos, I have talked about these flash needs. So I have alcoholism. I think everybody does in their family. Everybody has it in their family. And it's not an easy thing to handle. We usually try to push that relative off. We try to avoid that relative, or to the point that you're not inviting them to events because you don't know how they're going to react, or how, It embarrasses people. It is hard on children when their parents are under the influence and they end up at school. You know, it brings stress to the family. And then these individuals feel like they can't get the love and they can't get the support because they are dealing with a healing process, and they go to others that are in the same state of this easy process for people to, not in people, energy to jump onto, because they want you down, they want you suppressed, they want you feeling pain. And I am one person. When I was a very young person, I tried alcohol. I don't like the way it tastes. I don't like what it did. I believed that all it did is when people drink, it covets issues. It covets issues. It suppresses them, it pushes them down. And then even to this day, when I have to go to an event or something, that's the first thing that people want to give you. They want to give you a drink because they feel as they're giving you a drink, it makes them feel more comfortable because it shows a weakness side to you, or they'll see you in a state that they're not normally seeing you in. And to look at that balance, I look at it as the way of I am completely satisfied in the balance that I am in, and I do not need to drink. And society would prefer you to drink, but I am perfectly comfortable saying no. So I am one that never, ever drinks. So, and it makes, so if you're the only person in the room that's not drinking, you know, they definitely look at you as a aspect of what's wrong. And there's really actually nothing wrong. It's just, I don't need it. I don't use it. And we're going into a different type of world. And those flesh issues, habits, it's going to become less desirable, less effective, because it has to do with the compartment of the brain, what it desires, and that's changing. And where I see these people, when they are dealing with severe pain, severe suffering, severe guilt, and they're trying to hold it together. And a lot of people, and just to say, you're seeing a lot of it on YouTube. They're going in these alcohol processing states on YouTube. And because society has like accepted it, it's really just honestly embarrassing. And it's not anything the light would come into to represent statements or enlightenment information. It's definitely a negative process to get you into that state and use you as a conduit for negative information. And that's why your body, your behavior changes when you're in that state. You know, it's my personality. Well, it's not. It's not funny though. So, so I'm just talking about this because people don't talk about this. And I had a situation yesterday, and they're very good at what's going on with them, their own reflection, their own issues, their own problems, and we're trying to project it onto you, even though they don't know you or have any idea that you're not even in a process of that state or ever would be. But they're looking to release it. They're looking for direction to project their issues onto you. And that's what happens. And that's why people get in brawls when they're drinking. They get offensive when they're drinking. They get abruptly rude when they're drinking. But when I see that state, I'm very stern and strict on it. I don't baby it, but I'm very direct on handling it because they're projecting something that is reflecting themselves severely. So there's something deeper going on. But I have to tell you, I'm starting to see a lot of people understanding that, and they're trying to move away the flesh needs. They're trying to say, hey, I know that this is not good for me. I know that this is a weakness. And it's hard to just walk away from because your physical body reacts from you not indulging into it anymore, not feeding it. And that's where you really have to get into that state where I tell people there's a plated glass of 3D, and then there's you and your spirit. And yet that at that time, in that phase, that tells you who's in control of you. Who's in control of you? You know what I'm saying? But that's a hard thing to identify. It's a hard thing to admit because everybody does it. Everybody gets in those states. Everybody's a part of that. And so I'm going to tell you, you're not doing anybody any good by seeing it and ignoring it, or someone that's in it and you're just going to let them go into that state. It's very good to be very honest and upfront with them and don't make them feel comfortable about the state that they're in. But always there's a hidden agenda of pain, a past seated issues that they haven't dealt with, or the biggest thing is guilt. The biggest thing is guilt. Guilt resides in alcohol. And it makes you feel comfortable enough, it doesn't matter what environment you're in, you're okay with that. And so you're seeing it on a lot of these shows now that it's okay to be in that state. And I'm going to tell you, anybody that's in drinking on a show, indulging on a show, turn it off. Because blissfully, it's not going to be that person with accurate information. It is going to be that person of pain, the person of entertaining, the person of wanting to covet really what's going on with them or project it onto someone else. And they can be very, very, very vindictive. Very, very, it goes to the core of how rude and crude they are. And if you're starting to see that on a consistent basis, that behavior is not changing, I'm going to tell you what always happens with that. What's close to what happening is a crash, a hard crash. And that's where we end up dealing with suicidal attempts. And they can't handle things because at that point, they don't know what state to be in. They don't know who they are anymore because they're ruled by a substance. And we're talking about, there is the light drinkers, social drinkers, those are good. Your balance, your behavior. And then there's the mid levels where they drink alone. But then there's the overindulging, and they smell like alcohol. Their liver is just not functioning to filter that, and their breath every day is alcohol. So I'm just saying, looking at these people, you have to look at them in an altered state at certain stages, because it's not good at all, and it's actually scary to certain points because when you're in it every day and you feel you're drinking because you think you need it. But I believe that a lot of them they're in so much severe pain that that is the only thing that makes them feel good. But spiritually, it's a bad agenda. It's a bad agenda for negative energy. It's a bad agenda for entities. It's a bad agenda to, because most people, when they drink and they can't remember because you're letting another state of alter state come in and take over, they don't remember what they said. They don't remember the foul language. They don't remember the ridiculism. They are not in charge of their own conscience at that time, but they roll it off as being funny. I'm bringing this up because this is a serious subject. And as everybody is changing in this world, these, there's alcohol, there's drugs, there's, food as an addiction. There's all these addictions. And that's where you are like, am I in control of my spiritual vessel or is something else? So when I have people in these states, because I was trained very well in a behavior-based situation, how to handle these states. I mean, to the point when they drink on the job, and they're always the victim, and you are always the enemy, and you are always wrong, and they are always right, and there's always an excuse. But I'm just telling you, we're coming to a stage in our world that you have to look at that logically and ask yourself, why am I actually indulging? Why is it that I want to be funny? Is it that I need it? Is it that my body needs it? Is it that I think that people only accept me in that state? Or is there severe pain that I wake up every day and I cannot handle? And I can't handle the truth. I can't handle the reality of it all. And it's something in our world that needs to change. And so, and needs to be called out on. And because it's not doing any good, not saying anything. And so it's not saying, stop drinking and all this. The best thing is to go in after the core of it. What is the truth that they're doing this? What they're really feeling. And you're seeing that, feeling that, connecting with that. Sorry, I'm looking at this. Okay. So, and these are, again, flesh needs that society has put out there. You got to look at it. I mean, alcohol is one of those things that they put in front of you to get you to submit to. Food is another. All that is in front of you. So your mind sucks that up. And look at it this way. If that wasn't there, and you had to deal with your issues, and you had to deal with your balance, and you would be doing something more rejuvenating if that was the only choice you had, these, natural ways of doing things, and not putting yourself in another altered state for numbness. And the biggest one is guilt. Guilt is the biggest one for alcoholism, of not healing their past, not dealing with their issues. And so they're tough during the day. They look like they're ahead of the game. But then at night, you get this different person. And the people that have to live with them, it's hard, it's draining, it is compelling. It is, and they suffer through it. And they think that they can save them. And the only way they can save them is being honest about what's going on. I have to say, Alcohol Anonymous and all this stuff, and they talk about, how it affects them. But again, I think that's another thing that has to be dealt with one-on-one, because each case is different, how you're dealing with things. So I'm talking about this because, in the next year, there's going to be some major events that are happening. And you are going to see society reaching to not wanting to deal with it, to deny it, to run away from it, to not face it head on. And then that substance is saying, here you are, just like a big old demon face going, here you go. Oh, make you feel better. This will be good for you. Either feed your face or drink alcohol or whatever it is, the substance you need. Just imagine a big demon on the forehead there just serving that up, because that's what they do. Each person that I run into that drinks, that reveal of that issue as they drink, I see it more and more, and it's more revealing. But at that state, I will tell you, when they're in that state, they're at their truest, because the truth of them, the pain, starts to surface. And they'll answer questions, and you'll get answers that you won't get in their normal daily behavior when they're not drunk or they're not on a substance, because they are not guarded at that time. They're just feeling good. And then they're guarded during the day. They would never tell you that. They would never be honest. They would never deal with the truth. And so one of the biggest things that I deal with in the field that I work on is people start to drink because of death, because of guilt, because of a loss of a loved one, the betrayal, the I never got to say goodbye, I was never treated right, and guilt. And it's something that our world and our society needs to look at a different way, because we blame the individual that is in the substance, but the society has handed it to them and said, this is the way to heal. This is the way to handle it. This is the way to covet it. And so spiritually, the light steps away from it. They don't interact with it. They do not download when you're in those states. They step back, way back from the situation. Because they know they cannot get their information across in a very clear way in that balance. But the negative is loving it. They love to be in it. They love to jump on that. And then what is very raw is you actually see people's true thoughts and true intentions under that substance. And so when I look at people like that and they interact with me or project that on me, I know. I see right through it. I see right through it. And I'm shielded from the negative that's coming out of the mouth. I'm shielded from, but I'm also observant to see whether they're in front of me physically or their words. Still, I can see that. So, and I think everybody looks at those people and they see them go another direction, but in the back of their head, they are worried, because some of those people can't remember where they are. And how they got behind a car, and how they killed a family, you know, and but I think the demon inside that deals with a lot of this gets you to feel sorry for yourself when it harms others, and makes you feel like they're picking on me. They're not understanding my pain, but you also are not expressing what is really going on with you. You're just coveting. And that always leads to a big cliff of pain or a very hard wall. So I would advise at this time that we are in at this world, that we're going into the next life. Is that something that you think you can take? No. Is that a substance that will go with you? No, because you won't be able to go unless you get rid of it. Because it's literally being free of it. And I'm saying that in the way of you going inside and working on that and understanding that was purposely set in front of you on purpose so you could suffer. So you wouldn't deal with your pain. It's very sad to see it, you know. I see it ravaged through families because one does it, the other one does it. And it does the same thing over and over, ancestrally wise. My parents smoked cigarettes. I couldn't stand it. I went the other opposite direction. I don't have nothing to do with cigarettes either. And then some indulge it when they're grown up in it. And like alcohol, it was nasty. I even hate the taste or the, ugh. So, so the reason why I'm bringing this up is just that extra communication, the extra talk. Even though they're going to be belligerent and they're going to be in a state that something else is trying to talk through them, there's a point that you can reach to the core of them where the pain is and reach into that and say, hey, there is a way out of this. There is a way through this. And that's why the body has such a hard time going through withdrawals. It's seeped in so deeply. It is hard. So I'm just coming on tonight to give you guys some thought about that. And always, when you're dealing with a person like that, you step behind the plate of glass and know that they're going to throw everything they can at you. When you are addressing the truth, the venom will come. But staying in that state of understanding that you know that's not them. There's something else going on. But, you know, do I think there's help through medication? No, not at all. Do I believe that you have to turn your soul inside out to deal with it? Yes, I do. Severely. So this is just something that I wanted to talk about because I had an incident yesterday. And usually this is a perfect example when you're asking one or two questions and getting to the core of something, going very direct into it. Their instant response is, I'm drinking. You're irritating me, and I'm going to react in a very foul and direct way, and in massive confusion at that too. Because they think at that point they dominate you or they put fear in you. That fear does not exist with me. Nope. Because I'll take it on head on every time. So this is just something that needs to be talked about. You see it on YouTube, turn it off. Because you're not going to get any messages with anybody in that substance situation. Publicly, for yourself, being in front of a person like that, walk away. Teach them that this is a behavior that you will not tolerate, that you will not accept. You know, the rudeness, the crudeness, all of it. No. So I don't know how to explain it to you. You know, when I was very young, I didn't get that. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the drinking. I didn't understand drinking for the process that your body was not desiring it, nor did it need it. Because people drink and drink, drink, and I just can't understand how their body can just hold that and restore that, and your body just projects it out. So it's just something that in the future, as things change, I mean, right, as a collective of energy, not blowing that aside anymore and trying to help them find a path through that. And there's some, I swear, that have done the work and that are doing good and seeing it, that makes them stop in the middle of the road and says, I can't do this no more. This isn't me. I'm not a part of this. This doesn't help my soul in any way. And they're strong for that. And I praise them for that. But there are the ones that are going to get swept up by it and suffer. And it could kill them. So it's one of those things they need to look at. Because on the other side, I deal with them on the other side when they passed on. And it is the number one regret that I hear from them. They're sorry for it. They feel guilty for it. They feel like they were in a weakness. They had no control, and they had no control of their body. So I hear it from this side and the other side. And they still have to deal with the healing on that side with it. Some transformation stage. So the wound just doesn't go away. At some point, you have to deal with the pain. So I just want to come and talk about this. And I deal with these situations with humble healing, which really helps dealing with those seeds of pain. But I want to come on and talk about this subject because I think it's a very important subject. So if you know someone that's under these substance, maybe this is something you need to share with them. But again, don't be in the way of their ridiculism and their physical violence and their projection of that either. So this isn't coming on judging anybody. This is just telling you, everybody's in a different state of understanding with it. But there's always a way of healing. There's always a door to heal. You would just have to decide that that's a path that you need to go in instead of suffering. So I have a lot of packing to do, so I want to say goodnight. Guys, take care. Stay in the light. Good night.